Hello Clarkston, I'm Rod Rock, Superintendent of Schools. Welcome to Real Learning. This is a show where we showcase the excellent learning and teaching that happen every day in the Clarkston Community Schools. Today I'm fortunate to have as my guest Mrs. Meredith Copland, who is a second grade teacher at Bailey Lake Elementary School and the Clarkston Foundation's Teacher of the Year. Welcome to the show, Meredith.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background?
I am a graduate of Michigan State University, and I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in reading and language arts, along with an early childhood endorsement.
Very good, thank you. So what's your philosophy of education and how did you arrive at that philosophy?
I believe that the root of education is really just a love of learning, and I am enthusiastic about what I teach, and I work hard to foster that love for learning with my students. I also believe that in order for students to love learning, they must first feel safe in the classroom in order to take risks and accept challenges, to explore their interests and share their ideas.
Okay, and how does that look in your classroom?
I think taking time to really get to know my students and build relationships with them, getting to know them as learners and just as individuals. They all have different learning styles and offer something different, and I just really take the time to listen and help that to grow and nurture.
Okay, and I know that's true not only of your students but also of your parents. You've done a lot of things in your classroom to get parents involved and to communicate with them about their students' learning. Can you share a little bit about what that looks like?
Sure. The homeschool connection is of the utmost importance to me. I believe that the way that students learn is a result of, their families and the environments in which they live. So I really try to foster the relationship with the parents as much as I can through emails and newsletters, phone calls, online portfolios for my students, and also inviting them into the classroom to see what takes place. A lot of the things that we do can't always be sent home. There's a lot of exploring and hands-on activities and collaboration and talk amongst my students, and so inviting them in to see all of that is really helpful, and I think explains a lot to them about what's going on.
And I know you've had great success because parents really do come when you invite them.
Yes, we've had a great turnout and a great response to inviting them in.
So what is your passion and how did you arrive at that?
I think my true passion as a teacher is just helping students to realize their full potential. I think I arrived at that just with my own experiences and opportunities in life, whether it was running my first marathon or having the opportunity to invite teachers into my classroom and host lab classrooms. Both of those things, all of those things helped me to really step out of my comfort zone and grow as a teacher and as a person. And I really work hard to help my students kind of do the same thing, step out of their comfort zone a little bit and test their limits to see just how far that they can go too, with differentiated instruction and, like I said, really just getting to know them.
Did you say you ran a marathon?
I did, yes. 2 actually.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Thank
really
you.
pushing yourself, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
So what would you say is your most meaningful moment here in Clarkston?
When I think back on 17 years of teaching, there's so many different meaningful moments, all the connections I've made with students and just watching students grow each day. When I think back more recently to something that was really meaningful to me about 4 years ago when my principal, Glenn Galtieri, invited me to join him on the Cultures of Thinking Committee, along with you and a lot of the other administrators and teachers in the district. And it really helped me to kind of see learning in a different light, that my role as a teacher is to kind of take a step back, and the learning really comes from the students. And as I sat in those meetings and did protocols and thinking routines with all of those adults, I wondered to myself, are 7- and 8-year-olds really capable of this type of work? And when I got back to my room and jumped right in to see, are they really ready? And not only found out were they ready, but they also excelled at it. And it's really transformed my teaching and the learning that takes place in my classroom every day.
That's a very interesting story. Thank you for your willingness to continue to learn. So is there one particular connection you've had with a student that stands out for you?
Again, there's so many connections. I tend to really connect with the shy student in my classroom. I just because that was the type of student that I was in school, that didn't always want to share my ideas or my thoughts, or didn't always view them as important as the other students in the class. And so when I see a student like that in the beginning of the school year, I really work hard to bring them out of their shell and make everyone in my classroom know and understand that what they have to say is valued and it is important. And with the work that we do with making our thinking visible and all the conversations and collaboration as a team, it's amazing to see that growth through the end of the year. And I look at those students and think, I wish that I would have been that type of second grader, and how I hope that that will carry through with them through all of their life, really.
So you see them building that confidence and
Absolutely.
and finding their voice.
In fact, I had one student in particular this year who was extremely shy, and she actually just presented at the Academic Service Learning the other night at the high school. So that was very neat to see.
That's so neat. So along that line, what do you think are the most important skills and dispositions for our students to possess and to develop in order to achieve their dreams?
I think one of the most important things for them to possess is that growth mindset and the perseverance. We talk a lot about in our classroom that mistakes are okay, and we learn from our mistakes, and just being able to push through and work hard. And we talk about, we're able to do hard things, and they might be hard at first, and that's okay.
So some students, I know, with that growth mindset, they'll look at failure as really defining themselves, and that because they didn't succeed, that they must, be a failure themselves. And then other students, when they come upon those moments, they see themselves as being able to grow and learn from them.
Yes.
So having that growth mindset is really important.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. If you could change anything in education, what would it be and why?
I think with the ever-changing world of education, I think the most important thing is just to stay focused on what's best for kids. I think that it's easy to get caught up in all of the push for curriculum and standardized testing that is taking place, and I think that we as educators know in our hearts, and research shows what is best for children, and I think that we just need to keep that in the forefront of our minds and always make sure that that's what we do.
Okay, really about the kids in each one, like you've said. So Meredith, you're obviously very highly regarded in our school district and by your peers at Bailey Lake. I know you're a leader there. You talked about cultures of thinking, and maybe that you haven't always seen yourself as a leader, like you talked about that student, but you've really been somebody who's modeled teaching and been welcomed others into your classroom. And you've been through a really intense process with the Clarkson Foundation and the Teacher of the Year. I think we started out with 12 nominees, and they visited your classroom and went through different. What was that like?
It was an overwhelming process. It was definitely an honor to be nominated, and then to even become a finalist and be on that list with so many amazing educators in our district that I really look at as role models and who inspire me, and I've learned a lot from throughout the years. So that was really a big deal. Going through the process, it started to get a little nerve-wracking, especially towards the end. And I remember my principal, Glenn, he just said to me, Meredith, just be yourself, and they're just coming to see you. And that really helped me to just kind of realize that, what I do and what I have a passion for can really have an impact. And so that was a really strong message for me.
You can just be yourself.
Yeah.
And I know that includes a car from Suburban Ford, and you were able to go and pick out a vehicle, and that must have been neat too for your family.
It was overwhelming. The excitement was tremendous. So.
And your family was there the night of the awards?
They were, yes.
That's so nice, your children.
Yes, my husband and my daughter Mia, who's 7, and my son Jack, who's 3, and my mom was there also.
That's so
it was
nice
an
that they could
night.
share that with you.
It was great.
So we're really grateful to Suburban Ford and for all that they do for us, and they've supported this for, I believe, as many as 20 years in Clarkston. Wow. With teachers getting a car to drive for, is it a year?
2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is, yes.
And then the Clarkson Foundation, what they do to recognize teachers is really a wonderful thing. We're very, very fortunate. Meredith, is there anything else you'd like to add or share?
I think that was it. I'm just so honored to be here. This whole experience has just been wonderful, and thank you for having me on your show today.
Thank you
I love
for being
working in
here.
Clarkston, and I feel very blessed to be here.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
As the superintendent of schools and someone who spends my life on education and is so passionate about it, I don't think there's anything more powerful than having a teacher with a clear philosophy and then walking into that teacher's classroom and being able to see it and feel it. And I have tremendous respect for Meredith and for all of the teachers in the Clarkston schools who do so much for our children and for our community. So I'm grateful to Meredith, and I thank you for tuning into the show.